Namaste, Namaskar, good afternoon. Welcome to virtual class of grade 10. Dear students, listeners and viewers, last day we studied unit second and we discuss about debate, and the topic was fewer the language, better the life will be, as said by one of the participant, one of the speaker, whose name is Karma. Or last day, as we started studying the debate in which Karma, who is one of the speaker, who speaks in the favor of using a single language is better than multiple languages. On the favor of this statement, Karma has put forwarded his speech. And dear students, I hope even you are with your English book, with notebook and with dot pen. I hope you are sitting with all these things and you are listening very carefully as I am saying something. So last day, as I have again said you that we talked about the debate competition in which Karma, who is one of the speaker, speaks in the favor of single language, or he shows the advantage of single language or fewer language, and he shows the disadvantage of multiple languages. And the venue or the spot or the setting where this debate competition was there, that is Gauri Shankar Higher Secondary School. And MC of this debate competition or master of ceremonies was Amrit Timal Sinha. Amrit Timal Sinha, who is the master of ceremony, and Karma and Kavita are the speaker in this final round of debate. So Karma has already said, already said his idea in the favor of single language, and now it is the turn of another participant whose name is Kavita. So Kavita, who is the another participant taking part in this debate competition, and in this debate competition, Kavita, who is in the favor of using multiple languages, is better than a single language, or Kavita is against the motion. She is talking about the advantage of multiple languages, and she talks about demerit or disadvantage of single language or fewer language. So as dear students, even in this speech, some difficult words are there. So first, try to understand what those difficult words are there. So the first word I'm taking here is inherent, which means built-in. Inherent, that is also one of the difficult word is used here. Again, other language is what other difficult words are also here, and that another difficult words I'm also taking here from the next paragraph, that is diversity, which means different or variety. Another difficult word is used here, that is reciprocal, which means interactive. So, in the same way, some other words are also used. Some other difficult words are there, and those difficult words are also I'm taking from another paragraph, that is even as we have talked some difficult word, as we talked reciprocal, which means interactive. In the same way, diversity is another difficult word, as just we have talked, which means variety. In the same way, some more words are here. These are, or another word that I am talking here is dialect. That dialect means regional language, and even another word I'm taking here, that is unintelligible. So unintelligible, that is given in the last paragraph of this debate competition or this debate speech, which means not able to understand. So these are some of the difficult words used in the debate or in this speech used by Kavita. So dear students, I hope you have opened the book, page number 14, where you can see against the motion, using multiple languages is better than a single language. On this issue, on this topic, Kavita is put forwarding her speech. So, as she says here, listen it carefully and try to understand. So, as Kavita says, Mr. Chairperson, respected teachers and friends. So, just like Karma, even this Kavita starts her speech addressing Mr. Chairperson, addressing teacher and all her friends. So, even as I know or I hope that whenever even you are taking part in any debate competition, then you first address the chairperson, teachers and friend, as here Kavita has done. In next paragraph, as she says, thank you, Mr. Timal Sinha, for giving me this platform to present my view on the issue. So, as even we talked that Mr. Timal Sinha, who is the MC, who is the master of ceremony, and sees or Kavita is very thankful even to Mr. Timal Sinha, because he has given her chances to put or to present her view on the topic, on the issue or on the agenda. As she further says, as we know, every year several languages die out. So, as this was also said by Karma in his speech, and here Kavita also says several languages die out every year, but she says with their death the knowledge inherent there dies too. But here, what this Kavita says, in language, knowledge is there. So, whenever language die out, it means knowledge which is within the language that also dies. So, here, death of language means death of knowledge according to Kavita. Though the previous speaker argued that fewer the languages are, easier the life will be, I strongly disagree with his statement. So here Kavita says whatever karma has said uh, about that issue, sees totally disagree. It means Kavita is not agree with whatever karma has said. That's why at the end of this second paragraph, what Kavita says, I strongly disagree with the viewpoint, with the argument of karma. So now let's talk about another paragraph where again Kavita says, Mr. Chairperson, language influences our thought and our thought influences reality of the world around us. So here in this very first sentence of the second paragraph, this Kavita says language influences our thought. It means language is the dress of our thought, or what we think, that is because of language. So it is the language that influence our reality where we are living, or our surrounding is influenced by the thought, and thought is influenced by language. So language is one of the important phenomena. It means we perceive the world as per our linguistic background. So linguistic background is one of the important aspect which help us to understand the society, which help us to think. That's why it is very important. Language also carries culture. Culture and linguistic diversity have a reciprocal relationship. So as this karma says, language carry culture, or culture is within the language, or culture can't survive in the absence of language. So culture and cultural and linguistic diversity have a reciprocal relationship. It means between culture and language there is an interactive relationship. One is essential to another, or these two are very essential for one another, as this Kavita says. Therefore, there are obvious disadvantages of having only one global language. So, if only one global language is there, if only one international language is there, if single language in the world, it means it means it has many more disadvantages. So, first disadvantage, as she talks here, so firstly, it would mean that all other language would eventually disappear. So if in the whole world, in the entire world, if single language is there, it means other languages will disappear, other language will die, die along with them their culture too. So as this karma says, what this Kavita says, if language dies, it means culture also dies. So if single language is there, if fewer language is there, then fewer culture will be there. If single language will be there, single culture will be there. Each culture is unique with its own way of life and own perspective of the world. But as this Kavita says, each culture is unique with its own way of life. It means each culture is important. Each culture has its own type of uniqueness. Each culture has its own type of importance and its own type of perspective, its own type of values, its own type of assumption. Cultural diversity boosts tourism because it attracts tourists from different parts of the world. So in the world, as you can see, dear student, that a tourist comes from one place to another place, or even we people visit to another place because of diversity, because of differences. And if singleness is there, if single culture is all over the world, if one culture is there, then there will be no tourism, there will be no touristic place. The loss of languages result in the loss of culture, and the loss of culture leads to the collapse of tourism industry, because there would be no reason to travel for pleasure and interest of it. So if in the whole world, in the entire world, single culture is there, what single language is there, it means single language culture will be there. And if single culture will be there, it means there is the destruction of tourism industry, because there will be no pleasure and there will be no interest if single language is there, single culture is there. That's why multiple languages are necessary, more than one language is necessary, as this Kavita says in this paragraph. So all over the world, we have the same language and similar culture. We have the same language, similar culture. This finally leads to the decline of national economy of the countries which rely on tourism industry. So as you know that even there are many more countries of the world, there are many more society of the world where it is the tourism that is the source of income, or the society or economy is totally grounded on tourism industry. But if single language will be there, single culture will be there, same thing will be there, then there will be no possibility of tourism industry. And if there will be no tourism industry, it means life will be complex, economic crisis will be there, society become very, or there will be too much difficulty we people have to face, that is said by this Kavita in this paragraph. So dear students, as in the next paragraph, Mr. Chairperson using fewer languages also creates identity crisis or identity problem. So as this Kavita says, if fewer languages are there, if single language is there, it means there will be identity problem, there will be identity crisis. So as even I hope, dear student, you know that it is the language, it is the culture, it is the dress, it is the clothing that can give you identity. But if single language will be there, single type of culture will be there, single type of clothing will be there, it means there will be no identity of the people, or identity problem will be there if single language is there. So it is the language, it is the culture, it is the way of living life that gives us identity, or that gives people identity. So for identity, even multiple languages are necessary according to Kavita. The ethnic group without their own language and culture lose their linguistic and cultural identity. So not only identity, but cultural identity and linguistic identity will also be lost, because as just we talked that cultural identity is totally based on linguistic identity, or it is the language that can give identity to the people, it is the culture that can give identity to the people. So either it is cultural identity or linguistic identity, or identity is there, that is because of language, that is because of multiple language. So multiple languages, that is essential, that is the demand of today, as said here Kavita. So as further she says, variety in literature is only possible through linguistic and cultural differences. So variety what as variety in literature is also possible through linguistic and cultural differences. So if varieties of literature is there, then it is because of varieties of language, variety of cultural differences. So because of cultural differences, because of linguistic differences, different type of literature is there, different type of art is there, different type of other thing is there. That's why even linguistic diversity is necessary, even cultural diversity is necessary, cultural differences is necessary. As here this karma, what Kavita says here. So dear student, as you can see that this Kavita is talking about the positive aspect of multiple language, and she is totally disagree with the opinion as given by karma. So as karma talked about favor of single language, whereas this Kavita is talking in the favor of multiple language, which is the demand of the today. And really, as dear student, I hope even you know multiple language is very necessary, because multiple language really gives identity, and if there is no multiple language, then identity crisis will be there, as said by this Kavita. In the same way, as Kavita says further, it is impossible if we have a single global language. Likewise, each language has its own taste and own distinct quality. So, as this Kavita says, each language has its own type of taste, its own type of values, its own type of assumption. In the same way, it has, or each language has its own type of distinct quality. For example, as this Kavita says, Sanskrit language is said to have musical quality, or it is the Sanskrit language that has musical quality which is not found in other language. So musical quality, that is one of the quality, that is one of the traits, that is one of the advantage, that is one of the merit of Sanskrit language. All these qualities get lost if the people start using a single language all over the world. But as if all over the world single languages are used there, it means whatever quality this Sanskrit language is there or other languages has there, that will be destroyed, that will be lost. It means the world will be one of the wasteland, because sameness was there, because same type of culture was there, or same type of culture will be there. That's why a different type of language or a multiple language is necessary, as this Kavita says. As she further says, furthermore, fewer the languages are in use, less the vocabulary in practice. So another very important point, as Kavita is talking here. So fewer the languages are there in use, the less the vocabulary in practice. If fewer languages will be there, surely it means fewer vocabulary will be there. And if fewer vocabulary will be there, then there will be no creativity, there will be no imaginative power, or there will be no imaginative, as this Kavita says. That's why she further says, therefore, the less vocabulary in practice, the less imaginative and creative work is possible. So, decreasement of language, even fewer the language will be there, fewer the vocabulary will be there, which will surely create a less imaginative and less creative work. But in the absence of imaginative and creative work, even our life will be boring, our life will be one of the unhappy, as this Kavita says here. Finally, in the last paragraph, let's see what this Kavita says. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask Karma if he could understand all the varieties, that is, dialect of his mother tongue. So even here, this Kavita asks question to Karma, that even really Karma can understand the dialect of his mother tongue. Obviously, as she tried to say that Karma even doesn't know the dialect of his mother tongue, dialect of his native language. So as we know, even the dialect are often unintelligible to all the speaker of the same language. So though we belong, but obviously we belong to one language, but even one language has multiple or varieties of languages are there, varieties of dialects are there. So if even we don't know the dialect of our own language, then how we can know the varieties of the language? Then how can we think about the use of single language all over the world? So again, here Kavita asks question that if single language can't be understood, then how we can know the different languages which are used all over the world? Even is it practical? She is questioning here. Is it possible? I think debating on such issue is just a waste of time. So this Kavita says that talking about single language, talking about fewer language in the world is just a waste of time because it is neither practical nor it is possible. So that is the opinion of this Kavita, and finally she says thank you, as said by Kavita. So as we have studied the debate, as this Kavita has said here, and Kavita is totally disagree with whatever Karma has said. Karma who is in the favor of single language, but here Kavita who is against the single language. And here this Kavita talks about many more advantage of multiple languages. As she said, multiple languages is only is the is it is because of multiple language people have identity. If multiple language is not there, then people will suffer from identity crisis. Even it is because of multiple language creativity is there, imagination is there, because if multiple languages are there, many more vocabulary will be there, and many more vocabulary really can develop creativity. As again this Kavita has said, it is because of multiple language, multiple culture is there, and because of multiple culture, because of multiple language, tourism industry is there, and the world of today mostly based on tourism industry. And if there will be no multiple language, if there will be no this multiple culture, then really tourism industry ought to be there. And if tourism industry ought to be there, then there will be not only identity crisis, but there will be crisis of economy, or economic crisis will be there, as said by Kavita. So dear student, as today we talked about the opinion or about debate competition, as last day we talked the Karma has said, put forwarded his idea about fewer language, and today we talk about as said by Kavita, the benefit of multiple language. In this way, dear student, I hope what is the opinion of Karma and what is the opinion of Kavita that you have understood. So dear student, even time is over, so next day we will talk about whatever exercises are given here. So in next class we'll talk about exercise today. Thank you very much. But if you have any confusion about today's study, you can contact with me. My phone number is 9844072807. Even you can contact with me at my email ID. My email is sandeshwaryadav15 @gmail.com. So this is my email. So thank you, my dear student. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.